Hi everyone, it's Heather Darnall. Welcome back to my art channel. Thank you for joining me for another video. Lately, I've been watching a YouTube channel called Fiona Art, and this woman named Fiona, I believe she's the one who founded this specific type of style in acrylic pouring called the reverse flower dip, is something that I have been really intrigued with. The method itself is quite bizarre because I would have never have guessed that you pour wet paint down and then you put like a damp cloth or towel of some sort on top of your wet paint to then just fold the edges up and see that you can get this flower type design out of it. It's really, really cool. Definitely something that when I first saw, I was like, oh my goodness gracious, that is not within my comfort zone. I don't think I could do it. But she says even beginners can do it. And although I'm not really a beginner in acrylic pouring, for this specific type of pouring, you better believe I am, because again, to me, it was just so like, I don't know, I'm really just quite afraid how it would turn out, because once I pour something down, I don't want to touch it. It really is hard enough to want to start making little tweaks here and there, but to put a damp towel or cloth on it, that's kind of scary. But I'm going to see how it goes for myself. She makes it look super beautiful and easy to top it off. So like I said, I'm just going to go ahead and share my experience with you. And the colors I wanted to use for this specific flower is from the rose, or the variety of roses called the cherry brandy rose. Pretty sure that's the name of it. But anyway, the outer petals are like a very dark pink, almost like a fuchsia color, and the insides are peachy, goldeny type. It's just very warm, and one of my favorites, actually several of my favorite colors. So combined, like I said, oh my goodness, it makes a stunning rose, although I'm not really going for a rose on this floral or reverse flower dip. I just hope it turns out like a flower, period. So again, those are the colors I want to choose from. And the fact that we are in the spring season, I thought what a great way to kick off the season of just everything coming out from being dormant and blooming, and flowers are one of the best things that God could put forth for us to view in everything coming out. So that is what I was thinking I would put on the table today. But before we get started, today's ministry snack comes from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 7, verses 21 through 23. And it reads, "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. On that day, many will say to me, 'Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, and cast out demons in your name, and do many mighty works in your name?' And then I will declare to them, 'I never knew you. Depart from me, you workers of lawlessness.'" Okay, so Jesus is well into his ministry now. He is beyond the 12 disciples. He has now acquired thousands of people. And these people have come from long distances because they have heard about all the things that he has been teaching and the things and miracles that he has performed. So they're like, I got to check this out for myself. So they've come from Galilee, Judea, Jerusalem, beyond Jordan, and other long distance places, just to check this guy out to make sure he's legit or not. And it's reasonable too, because the last video I said I would need a lot of input myself, because if someone just pops in front of me and says, I'm the Son of Man, I'm the Son of God, and the only way to live eternally is through me, that's huge. That's huge. I need to be convinced, and then some. But this specific piece of it where it says, "Depart from me," is rather chilling, I think, because that's what he's talking about, is literally telling somebody, I never knew you, you never knew me. The way you chose now is right to hell. And that is not a place that anybody should take lightly. When we don't do things from the heart, it just comes out as void, empty, it doesn't count. And that is where Jesus is talking about here, this specific part of the Sermon on the Mount, because the other things that he's talking about are definitely applicable. They are about controlling anger, lust, divorce, taking oaths. He talks about the Beatitudes, giving to the needy, not judging others, loving your enemies. So it's extensive. And therefore, it is why he goes into all that extensiveness, because he doesn't want anyone to be shortchanged, and he wants everyone to know the full value and the full and true meaning of everything. And the Sermon on the Mount is basically a big old list. It's like a how-to / do's and don'ts of being a Christian. In other words, it's a way for us Christians to better dot our I's and cross our T's in our Christian walk. We need to be more detail oriented on all of the things that we do in our Christian life. Because when we don't pay attention to those little details and we start spewing off horrible things and showing horrible examples on how to live, we are just smearing Christianity. And people are constantly watching us. Are you legit? Oh, look at that. They're holding us accountable, rightfully so, to the standard that we are supposed to be living at, but we fail so miserably at. And Jesus doesn't want us to think for a second that we are just going to go there because we fall short. We all fall short every single day, on a day-to-day basis, multiple times a day. But when we repent and we ask him for forgiveness and help, those sins and failures become more short-lived. And I'm not saying we'll enter heaven being perfect. No one will ever be perfect when we get to heaven. We'll just be better about ourselves, making better choices. And that's because that's the only way we're able to do that is through the help of Jesus Christ. So when Jesus is saying here, when people are like, but Lord, Lord, did I not do these things in your name? Did I not cast out demons? Did I not show face of that I'm really for you, that my heart was there for you and with you all along? Jesus basically coming back and saying, on what account were you genuinely doing this for me? Were you genuinely showing my examples? And when we don't really have a good comeback because we didn't really do it for him, that truth is exposed. And the wonderful thing about Jesus is no matter who we think we are, the truth will always be exposed. And it's a wonderful thing too, because when we know someone's lying or they're doing something that's super sly, it's just a matter of time when the truth gets exposed, thanks to Jesus, because he doesn't like liars. Remember, he hates the sin, not the sinner. And he is not about to just let the sin overtake his world and his creation. So this is why, again, he came to do the Sermon on the Mount and better explain this whole meaning of depart from me, aka go away. Bye, Felicia. And you know, as bad as that sounds, that's unfortunately the decisions that we made. We chose the self-sentence to hell door. And so if you're still unsure of, you know, heaven and hell, rest assured that hell was never made for us. It was made for Satan and the fallen angels, and you can look that up in the Gospel of Matthew as well, chapter 25, verse 41 through 46, I believe. I think it's mostly specific or more detail oriented right there. So it's not a matter of why would a loving God send somebody to hell. The real question is, why would somebody choose hell over a loving God? It's essentially a self-sentence, and we need to be more accepting of that. You guys, this is a hard topic to talk about because it is really a touchy one, but also know that it's that horrible that the demons themselves who have encountered Christ begged and pleaded with him to not send them there. So if they're terrified of it, why are we so comfortable with it or don't really feel so bad about going? Do you see what a world we live in of such deception? And now think of this too. When we have our kids, I'll use me when I first had my son. When I gave birth to him, it was actually, it was not a good moment. It was a C-section and it was super, I was like barfing, it was painful. And okay, I'm not gonna go there. Anyways, when I gave birth to him, when he came into my life, all I wanted to do was to be in it, and I still do. I only want to be in his life. I want to be like a hip attachment. My husband's almost like, no, dude, you need to like, it's healthy, but you know, he also needs to like, you know, let the boy fly. And but anyway, and I get where he's coming from on that example, but I want him to know me as much as I want to get to know him. And our plans for him as parents are to set him up so that when we are gone, he is not broke. He's not a bum. He is not lost in life. He knows who loves him more than me and his father loved him. I want him to be set up for success for the duration of his time on this earth and when he gets when it comes the time to meet our maker. So that when I pass on and we have a will, he is rightfully in that name because he inherited it, because he desired to get to know us. He desired to get to know his mother and his father. But if he's just like, just real dismissive, doesn't care, mistreats us, you know what I mean, and expects something just because it's, you know, he thinks he's entitled to it, he's going to be sadly mistaken. And that's how Jesus wants us to think. He's like, hey, you guys are sadly mistaken if you just think you can loosely use my name and pretend you were doing things in my name when you were clearly going about everything in a wrong motive. You were doing everything selfishly for you, for your personal agenda. And now you have made me look bad. You've misrepresented me. You've caused more people to turn from me because you chose to not know who I am. We really just need to be more careful and cautious of our words, help our children. That's the success we want them to have. That's the setup we want them to have. Not a degree, not a big fancy house. We want them to inherit the kingdom of heaven. So let's help them with that success factor. You guys, if we could do anything, let's do that. Everything else will just fall into place if we follow and love our Lord of Lords, King of Kings. All right, guys, let's get started. All right, everyone. So my working surface here is just a little 8x10 cradled wood panel, triple primed in some gesso, and I have the sides taped off as well, just so I can retain that raw wood look. And I really have been enjoying that, and I have to thank Olga Sobi for that idea because it's so wonderful. I really like how canvases can have the wraparound look, and for the wood panels, I like how you can just have like a two-tone look. And so for these types of working surfaces, I think are perfect for that. So again, thank you, girl. All right, so I'm going to just now pour a white base down, titanium white. And my paint mix is just a little bit of Floetrol and water. The thickness or consistency is, well, this is pretty thin. This is like pretty fluid as far as the base. But my colors, I left a little bit thicker. Just because from how I was watching Fiona do it, I was like, okay, she's got a little bit of different consistency there. So, and I figured the base coat doesn't really matter. Or maybe it will, I don't know, depends on if the colors sink into it, we'll see. And the reason why they would be sinking into it is just the different densities of the paint. So depending on pigment load, what your paint mixture is made of, and their densities, etc., etc. But either way, this is just fun, and I've really been enjoying watching Fiona and her flowers. So cool. So we'll see if mine can turn out as half as pretty as hers. All right, I think that's good. Might actually be a little too much, but oh well. Wipe this off. Give it a quick torch. I see a lot of bubbles there. Geez, that one is stubborn. Boop, 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 boop. Finally, that took forever to pop that thing. A couple more here. Okay, pour the lid back on that. Or put the lid back on. Okay, now, oh my goodness gracious, my Pupple Up is talking, so let me put you on pause for a second and see what she's going on, or what's going on with her. All right, I am back. Oh, she just has to say hi to all the neighbors. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to put down my first color, which is a custom color, and it's a mix between primary red and pink, mostly primary red. So I'm gonna try to make a circle here. hopefully this doesn't start to run off. Well, yeah. I'm trying to remember how she did it. Kind of like spirally. Okay. And then this is a light coral. Come on, drip, drip. And then this last one here is called a golden hour pearl. Golden pearl hour. I don't know. It's kind of an oddball name, but it's like a metallic-y yellow. So it's kind of like a cross between a gold and a yellow. It's really pretty. At least it dries really pretty. Okay. Not sure if I want to add a little more color in there. You know what? Maybe just like, oh, well, I'm torn. Okay, and then maybe a little, I'm still thinking, because the cherry brandy flower, it's like mostly that dark pink on the outside and like little peachy goldsy in the inside, so I'm not sure if I need to leave it as this with, you know, I think I'm just gonna leave it at that. After all, it's just an experiment. And then I'm going to add like, I don't know, a couple little drops of green here. This is sap green. Maybe a little bit bigger. And then maybe on the other side. All right, and then I'm going to kind of just draw a line through it, or a few lines. See how that looks. I think I might have drug it out a little too far on my first swipe. Oh, wait. And then, hold on, swipe that down. Something like that, and something like that. Okay. I'm not too thrilled on this little piece here of this excess primary red, but I'm going to go ahead and just be okay with that, but maybe have a little extension of this yellow here. All right, I see some more bubbles coming up, so I'm just gonna torch it again real fast. Okay, now for my damp cloth, which I happen to get a little bit of white on it, but just a little bit. So let me go ahead and do like, I think this is like the hardest part, is laying this down nice and flush, and then just kind of like gently patting it, because you don't want to mess up the composition, like smearing it, you know, but you don't want to make sure there's, you want to make sure there's no pockets left either, you know, so can see her method to her madness. Clearly it works, so hopefully I'll be able to have the same luck. Okay, well, let's do this. Okay. I'm so nervous. Guys, I hope this is going to turn out halfway decent. Well, not bad. I can see where I smeared there. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, let me see if I can, because it is not that bad. It's actually really is kind of pretty. But this portion right here, I need to kind of redirect that. So I'm not sure exactly the way I want to go about doing that without making it look obvious, like I think I just did. It's a little better. Okay. I actually think that's really cool. I thought it was going to be bigger, to be honest with you. But maybe I'd come to think about it, looking back at it, I don't think I made my circle that big to begin with, but super pretty. I'm seeing these bubbles just come up. This is like a magic show. Okay, let me torch it one more time. Hopefully it's the last time I have to do it. Okay, just for good measure, right? All right, let me take it down for a close-up. All right, here's the most inner portion of it where you can see a lot of the details. Really pretty. What a pleasant surprise that it turned out so nice, especially for a first attempt. I was so scared that it was just going to be a hot mess because people make whatever they do, they make it look so easy. And then when you do it yourself, you're like, okay, why was this so hard for me? But really, oh my gosh, that's another pleasant surprise that it just, like I said, it was really not that hard to do. I genuinely think the difficulty level for a project like this is like a level 1. You just really need to take your time, and no one should rush art anyways. So win-win. But I'm glad that the darker pink stayed around like the outer border of the flower, and then the lighter colors just being more centered around in it, just really keeping it bright in there. I think I nailed the cherry brandy colors pretty good. I wouldn't say this particularly looks like a rose, maybe a carnation, I don't know. Definitely a flower with the cherry brandy rose colors. And either way, I still really like it. Definitely super happy I added the green in there because it just adds more color and pop to it. Definitely insinuates that it's a flower. So that was a good move. Now, I don't think that drawing the lines in it before I put the paper towel on it, I don't think that really made a difference in the composition. So I don't know if I'll do that again or not. I don't know. I'm still thinking about it, but either way, just glad how it turned out. So the only other thing I would do differently next time is I would just use a square canvas, unless you like the extra negative space, then at least you know what it kind of would look like for you. But anyways, all right, now let's take a look and see what the dried results look like. Okay, here it is, dried and finished with some resin, which I'm new at as well, but I'm still happy with the turnout. And check out that golden pearl hour coloring in there. It is so pretty. I just love how it reflects. And I didn't like all that negative space, so I just took a sponge and gently dabbed the corners with a little bit of gold to sort of balance it out, you know, without taking away from the flower. And also notice the sides too. I just love that two-toned look on wood panels. All right, guys, so this concludes this demo, and if you liked it, please be sure to not only share it, but to also hit like and subscribe for more videos. And more importantly, remember to thank God for this opportunity and always paint from the soul. See you next time.